Plymouth County Democrats, thank you for bringing us together at the start of an election year when the work ahead could not be more urgent. It is a special breakfast this year, and not just because the Patriots are in first place and heading for a Super Bowl victory, but because we have so many esteemed guests and speakers here. I want to start by thanking the Plymouth County Democratic League for hosting this breakfast, and especially my good friend Jessica Laverty, Treasurer Dominic Sanchez, and Secretary Alex Stewart for your leadership and for all you do in keeping this party strong and organized and rooted in your communities. And to every town and city committee chair, every activist, every organizer in this room, you are the backbone of our democracy. I see you, I appreciate you, and I am grateful to be in this fight with you. And it is especially meaningful to be here in Plymouth County because this is the home of someone who had a big impact on my life, my Senate career, and the way I view politics itself. John Walsh. Wow. Growing up in Abington, in a working class Irish immigrant family, immigrants are good. If you want to get the job done, get an immigrant. And they taught him that power doesn't come from titles. It comes from people standing together, especially working people, organized in unions, and devoted to the idea that democracy only works when ordinary people are empowered to lead it. John was my campaign manager. John was my chief of staff in Washington, D.C. Wow. But more than anything, John was my dear friend. And this morning, we're joined by John's beautiful wife, Donna, by his son, Coleman, and by baby John Walsh, who was with us here today, genetically hardwired to be a community. John Walsh, take it away from us, John. John is the future. All about the future. Thank you, John. And he knows, this John knows, and will know, that John, his grandfather, never believed politics was about power or prestige. He believed that it was about people. John answered every phone call or text, and he did it for everyone in this room. Not because it was strategic, but because he believed everyone mattered. Whether you were a first-time volunteer, a young political organizer who didn't yet believe in themselves, or someone who had been counted out by the political establishment, John believed in people before they believed in themselves. He would always say, have faith. Listen to the people. Above all else, trust the grassroots. And I'm sure many in this room who have been impacted by John's wisdom, by John's support, because long before there was a name for it, John Walsh practiced what we now call relational first organizing. He said it simply: talk to your friends, talk to your co-workers, talk to your family, talk to your neighbors, one-on-one. Not as a slogan, not as a buzzword, but as a way of doing politics that starts with respect, earns trust, and works because it meets people where they are. It listens first and takes them seriously. That belief powered campaigns across the state. It helped elect our first black governor, DeVal Patrick. You heard what Andrea Campbell said. And when people doubted whether a grassroots campaign could prevail in the middle of a global pandemic, John helped guide my Senate race. into a movement across the state. Because John believed democracy is not built from the top down, but from the ground up. Kitchen table by kitchen table. Conversation by conversation. Relationship by relationship. And his legacy is alive in this room in every organizer who still believes people power can beat billionaire power every single time. And in the extraordinary capacity of ordinary people, John Walsh is still organizing us through relationships in this room, the conversations you'll have after breakfast, and the work you'll take back to your cities and towns. Because today, the danger is even greater than it has ever been in our country's history. In just the last 7 years, Donald Trump and his unqualified lackeys have shown us exactly what unchecked power looks like. Pete Hegseth launching an illegal war for oil in Venezuela. Stephen Miller is threatening to seize Greenland by force like it is a bargaining chip. RFK Jr. slashing critical life-saving childhood vaccine recommendations. ICE thugs with the backing of Kristi Noem murdering a mother of 3, Renee Good, in Minneapolis in cold blood. This is not chaos by accident. This is authoritarianism by design. Donald Trump is a walking, talking constitutional crisis every day he's allowed to be in the Oval Office of the United States. And let me say this. It has now been 5 years since January 6th attack. 5 years since an insurrection unleashed on the Capitol, fueled by Trump and his MAGA extremists that shook our democracy. And I remember that day clearly, January 6th. I was in the Capitol complex. Why do I remember it? It was John Walsh's first day as my chief of staff in Washington, D.C. Do you know who you want to be with on a day when the MAGA Republicans are coming at you? You want to be with John Walsh that day. You want to be with the guy who was the former freshman football captain at Princeton and a warrior for democracy. That's who I was with on his first day in Washington. And I will tell you this, while others were frozen by fear, that's not anything John even understands. Because John was already asking the questions that mattered. What do we do next? He wasn't looking backward. He was always focused on the future, on strengthening democracy, expanding it, building the movements necessary to defend democracy against these MAGA criminals who were attacking the Capitol, killing police officers, hospitalizing police officers, and who each received a pardon from Donald Trump on his first day back this year in the White House, while not honoring those police officers who stood up to protect democracy and to protect the Capitol. And that clearly matters today, because January 6th was not an end date. It was a harbinger. A federal government being turned into a weapon against the people it is supposed to serve. That is power without accountability. That is authoritarianism dressed up in cruelty. That is why I am here in Massachusetts on a weekend work release program from Washington, D.C. to be here with you, joining all of you here, because we know that even on Thursday of this week, 5 Republicans actually joined with every Democrat to pass a resolution last week to weigh in Donald Trump's bill to drag us into another war point, this time in Venezuela. That's right. insanity that we would be doing this. And it's reckless because the American people have made themselves crystal clear. Taking over another country while families are struggling to pay their rent and buy groceries is obscene. Nation building in Venezuela, when he hasn't even engaged in nation building in the United States of America, is crazy. And it's reckless because as he's down there fighting for a war for oil for the oil company CEOs, electricity rates went up 13% in Massachusetts and across our country last year. And they're going to go higher and higher and higher. And why do we know that? Because they have basically disconnected all of the offshore wind and all of that electricity from coming into Massachusetts. He's declared war on electricity in New England, in New York, in New Jersey, and Virginia. Why? On behalf of the natural gas and oil industry. So we have to buy their electricity. That's what this year is going to be all about. Those special interests, that corruption that is at the heart of the Trump administration, enriching him, enriching his family, enriching his friends. That's what this is all about. And his big mega donors are going to wind up as the big beneficiaries of all of this, because it's not America first. It's oil above all. And as we know, the GOP has always and will always stand for the gas and oil party. They're a wholly owned subsidiary of the gas and oil industry. That is what this is all about. And it's reckless because Trump's mass ICE thugs are flooding into American cities, terrorizing our neighbors, ripping families apart, and again, just days ago in Minneapolis, with deadly consequences, murdering an American citizen. ICE agents have actually become the very criminals that they are supposed to be catching. They are frightening innocent immigrants who have never committed a crime, never done anything wrong in their lives, and they're terrorizing them, and their children are afraid to even go to school. That's what's happening in Plymouth County. It's happening all across our state and all across our country. Massachusetts needs a Democratic Party and a United States Senator who will not back down, who will always put our values and our families first, and who takes on big fights and knows how to win. That's why I have stood up to MAGA at every turn. No one in the Senate has voted against more of Trump's nominees and agenda than I have. I'm number one in voting no on Trump's nominees and Trump's agenda in the United States Senate. And I vote no in the committee meetings. I vote no on the Senate floor. And I'll no on the streets with you. Resisting Donald Trump every single day. That's what we must do. Universal health care, affordable housing, fair, free transit, reproductive freedom, comprehensive immigration reform, gun safety, clean energy, climate action, free and fair elections. That's who we are as Democrats. That's what this fight is all about. It's democracy. This is my fight. This is your fight. We're fighting for the electrician in Weymouth working overtime to send their kids to college. For the paraprofessional stretching a paycheck to cover classroom supplies. For an immigrant family terrified of an ICE knock on the door. For the young person who dreams of no more student loan payments, buying a car, breathing clean air, wants a democracy that works for them. Those are the people I fight for every day. Their opportunities, their future. It is not a mystery why Trump is doing all of this. It is to concentrate power so he can line his personal pockets and give massive tax breaks to the Billionaire Boys Club that sat right behind him at the inaugural. The Billionaire Boys Club sat in front of the cabinet, sat in front of the Supreme Court. That's where we are living. It's a kleptocracy he's running, not a democracy. And he does not want to make America great again. He wants to make America hate again. He wants to make America white man again. And we are going to stand up for everyone who is out there, black and brown and immigrant, that feels right now this repression, feels this government turning its power against them and their aspirations for their families. Sadly, we know that Donald Trump, Mike Johnson, MAGA extremists aren't going to back down, but we have a message for them. We're not going to back down now either. We're going to stand up. We're going to fight. So we need to send them a special message from the Plymouth County Democrats. We are not going to back down. And my job in the United States Senate is not just to secure resources for the people of Massachusetts, but it is to defend their rights with everything I have every single day. Because our greatest resource is you, our people. My father drove a truck for the Hood Milk Company. I had to commute to BC and BC Law School every day. I could not live there. I had to earn all my own tuition in order to go to school. Driving over from Malden every single day, the son of a truck driver. But this, I want to tell you, Donald Trump brings out the Malden in me every day. He brings out the one you are every single day. Because not only here, because of the democratic vision that was created by preceding generations. Access to education, access to opportunity, access to healthcare, which we need. Breaking down barriers to entry. And that's what I try to do every single day, break down those barriers to entry. So, 250 years ago, something big started right here. And people didn't give them a chance. The Minutemen and Minutewomen stood up. And they fought. And they took on the single most powerful military operation ever created in the history of the world. And those Minutemen and women, they stood up right here in Plymouth County. And they got knocked down, but they did not get knocked out. They got up, they fought, and they won. And then 50 years later, the abolitionist movement was started right here. And they got knocked down, but they did not get knocked out. They got up, they fought, and they won. And the suffragette movement, it was started right here in Massachusetts, Plymouth County. They got knocked down, but they were not knocked out. They got up, they fought, and they won. And Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King, they went to school here in the 1950s. And they were knocked down, but they were not knocked out. They got up, they fought, and they won. The same-sex marriage movement, it was started here. They were knocked down. They were not knocked out. They got up, they fought, and they won. The universal health care movement started right here. They were knocked down. They were not knocked out. They got up, they fought, they won. And that's who we are right now in Plymouth. People are knocked down, but we're not knocked out. We're up. We're fighting. And we're going to win. And who are we going to win for? We're going to win for those who are most vulnerable in our society. They once asked the ancient Greek philosopher, when would we know true justice? And he answered, we will know true justice when those who have not been harmed are as angry as those who have been harmed. And that's who we are. We are angry on behalf of all those who are being harmed every single day, all across our country. That is what we must stand for. That is who we must be. So we need to win the House. We need to win the Senate. Then we're going to buy a paper factory because we're going to need all that paper for all the subpoenas we're going to launch at the Trump administration and all of this corrupt crony capitalism that is going on in our country right now. Socialism for the rich. No, they don't like socialism except when it goes to the riches. So this is the most energized I've ever been. Donald Trump is there, but we must stand up. The future is our fight. Will you fight for a future of opportunity, of justice, of democracy? Will you fight for universal health care for everyone? Please